that the guy in the green shirt?
I hope so. Looks like it.
What's his name?
Brian Lipson.
Yeah, I think that's
Lipson.
him.
Lipson.
Lipson.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome each of you to Mr. Stewart. Good morning.
Oh, good morning,
I'd like
Judge.
to welcome each of y'all to the regular scheduled meeting of the Angelina County Commissioners Court. It is Tuesday, November the 27th, 2018. Let the record reflect that all members of the court are present. We have this morning, an honor to have with us this morning, is the Reverend Byron Lipscomb from Providence Baptist Church here in Lufkin, Texas. He's going to lead us in the opening prayer, so y'all please stand and remain standing for the pledge. Brother Lipscomb.
Heavenly Father, we come here today, God, we just want to recognize today that you are the Lord God Almighty. God, you're the one who is the giver of life, and Lord, you're the one who gives wisdom. And God, we recognize today in your word that you say that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Yes. God, I pray that this court here today, as they meet, Father, I pray that first of all they have fear of you. God, that they respect you and honor you first in their lives. And God, that today they will seek wisdom from you. Lord, I pray that you will provide it. That, Lord, as they look at this business, Lord, that affects this county and the people that live here, God, we pray that you'll give them the wisdom to make the right decisions, to do what is right before you, and that which is good for the people. And we'll glorify you in it as we give you thanks for all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Brother Lipscomb. Please join us in the pledge of the American flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us in the pledge of Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank y'all.
I got it come out. Pretty sure.
Give me that file folder.
Yeah, when we start this morning, the first agenda item is a public hearing where we'll open a public hearing on any mandatory payments to be assessed to non-public hospitals located within Angelina County to fund the Angelina County Provider Participation Fund. If anybody here wanted to speak during this public hearing and didn't have the opportunity or didn't know, they got a sign-up sheet back there. I'll give you a minute to sign your name up. If not, we will now. It's 10:03 a.m. We will open the public hearing on any mandatory payments to be assessed on any non-public hospitals in Angelina County. Last year, to give you a little background, we implemented a Angelina County Local Provider Participation Fund by resolution. This was some new legislation adopted by the last legislative session, which allowed hospitals within certain counties to contribute funds that was mandated by the Commissioners Court to a fund which could be sent up as an intergovernmental transfer to the state. The state would send those funds back to these individual hospitals with a matching fund from Medicaid funds, which were sent back to the hospitals for uncompensated care. As you know, our hospitals do provide health care throughout the year for people that can't afford to pay these bills, and the hospitals just have to provide that care. This helps them recoup some of those costs for those that health care that they provide. We implemented this program last year and were required by statute each year to also set a new rate for a mandatory payment from each of these hospitals located within Angelina County, and there's no option period. They either all opt in or they all opt out. So, and we do have a couple of members from Woodland Heights and from CHI St. Luke's Memorial here in Lufkin, those CFOs, Gary Bull and Dwayne Miller. They've both put their name on here to speak. So we'll just start with Gary Bull from Woodland Heights Hospital. If you want to, Gary, if you want to say a few words. And I know the hospitals are both very supportive of this program and appreciate the opportunity to work with the county, and speaking with them and work with them over the last 2 years on this. I know how important this project is to those hospitals. So, Gary,
absolutely.
good morning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge. Just want to express gratitude on behalf of Woodland Heights Medical Center. The nursing staff, physicians, and administration, we're so grateful for the continued support of the county to be the custodian, the that helps get these funds together, to allocate it, to manage that process. It's an integral part. We couldn't do it without them. Thank you all for your work and for your guidance. The funds that we do receive in return helps us to invest in capital, helps us to improve our patient care, helps us to create jobs. And so it's good for the community, and we're able to provide care to all folks, whether they're insured or uninsured. So it's a great opportunity, and it takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of coordination. So we're very thankful and appreciative.
Great. Thank you, Greg.
Well, then,
Dwayne, morning.
I tell you what a blessing and what an opportunity. When we're talking a minute ago, just started off the meeting, we said the fear of the Lord. We have a lot to be thankful for in having a God with providence over us. You know, one of the things about this program, Gary really hit the main points. We're looking at 6%. But one thing that always bothers me is if there's a pie out there and nobody gives us a piece of that pie. You were all there for Thanksgiving? Probably were. And I had too many slices. But the thing about this program is if we didn't participate, someone would take our piece of that pie. That's really the thing about this program. It's not a tax. All we're doing is saying we're anteing up so we can pull those dollars in to care for patients that otherwise would not be able to care for. And so I just really appreciate your support of the program. Both facilities in this community are committed to serving, and in many regards. So thank you all very much. Do you have any questions at all? Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. David Stewart.
Good morning to the Commissioners Court of Angelina County. As I understand this would be an additional expense to the county. I would like to go back and can you hear me, sir?
I didn't understand. You said this will be an additional expense?
Yes, did I understand that correctly, sir?
No, sir, you don't.
No, sir.
Okay, well, explain it to me a little bit better then.
We will say you finish your time. Go ahead and
Okay.
finish your time.
Well, I'm certainly concerned about health care in Angelina. You know, the Angelina County City's Health District receives roughly about $750,000 to $800,000 a year. This amount has been growing since
Stewart, this is a public hearing on the local participation provider fund, not the Angelina County Citizen Health District. So this is the only thing we can talk about in this public hearing is reference to this local provider participation.
Well, I believe I can tie that to that. Okay?
I don't think so, but if you think
Sir?
you can, continue on, go ahead. But you need to address this particular topic in this public hearing.
So I have to do it the way you say to do
No,
it,
you have to
sir?
do it. The public hearing is on the local participation provider fund.
Well, I
not on
understand
the
what it's
Angelina
about,
County
but I
Citizen
want
Health
to talk
District.
about that to lead up to it.
Okay,
Is that fine with your honor?
go right ahead.
Okay. Anyway, the health district is an important piece of health care here for Angelina County. And as I was trying to talk about, that we spend $800,000 a year there. And I think health care is so important that we need to monitor to make sure health care is being conducted properly, because that money is being given to them with absolutely no strings attached. I believe I recited you a piece in the law in the email where we have a duty for any money that we give out to any entity.
Again, Mr. Stewart, I'm gonna have to stop you because this has nothing to do with the Angelina County Citizen Health District. They don't participate in this local participation provider fund.
Well, I'll tell you
So
what.
that's what this is what this particular public hearing is in reference to, is setting the rate for the local participation provider fund, not anything to do with the Angelina County Citizen Health District. So if you'd like to address the local participation provider fund, please feel free to do so. But this is not a public hearing on the Angelina County Citizen Health District, and they have nothing to do with this public hearing or this fund.
Well, I think I understand, Judge. When I first came to the Commissioners Court, there was unlimited time to speak on a matter in public forum.
This is not public
Somehow
forum, this is
another
a public
graduated
hearing.
to 5 minutes, then to 3 minutes, and then you eliminated public forum altogether because you don't want people to have freedom of speech here in Angelina County, especially me. But that's all I need to say.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak in reference to the local participation provider fund? Again, and I will reiterate, this is not funding that comes from this county. The taxpayers do not fund any of the dollars that come in here. These are federal dollars that come down to the hospitals. The hospitals put their money in to the county to a particular fund, and an account we hold in the bank. When the state calls for those funds, we send that money to the state. The state sends that money plus the matching federal money from the Medicaid funds back to the hospitals in order to provide recoup this uncompensated care fund. So Again, this is not your tax dollars. This does not come from anybody in the county. We don't fund it. It comes strictly from the hospitals and from the federal government.
And we'll go to somebody else.
That's right, or another hospital in another county who's a member of their local participation provider fund would get those dollars. So, you know, we need to help our hospitals all we can in order to help continue to provide those medical care for the people that need that, whether they can afford to pay for it, whether they can. So, okay, anyone else? If not, we will close the public hearing. It is now 10 a.m. We'll close the public hearing on the mandatory payments to be assessed to non-public hospitals in Angelina County to fund the local participation provider fund. And we'll go and move into item number 6, is discussion and action on setting the rates and the payments to be based for the the local participation provider fund by the non-public hospitals in the county. Last year, we set the rate, gentlemen, I think at about 3.2%. There's additional funding that has come available this year. Of course, these rates are based on the general, patient revenue, general patient revenue from each of the hospitals located in the county. You have a sheet there in front of you. Looks like this one. And if you look over on the next to the last column to the right, it shows the net patient revenue in 2016, which is the last American Hospital Association and Texas Hospital Association survey that each hospital is required to file each year. They haven't come out with the 2017, which will come out in the latter part of December this year. So the latest one we have is the 2017 survey. And you can see the net patient revenue for each of the hospitals, which was CHI St. Luke's Memorial, the CHI St. Luke's Memorial Specialty Hospital, Woodland Heights Medical Center, and Oceans Behavioral Center. The maximum rate set by statute is 6%. That's the max rate we can set on these hospitals. You can see if we set the rate at 6%, which is a maximum, and I think that would be sufficient this year to go to the maximum because there are additional dollars out there that these hospitals can draw down this year. So instead of setting it low, we need, try to get them the most benefit for their dollars. If we set it at 6%, that would mean that CHI St. Luke's Memorial would contribute $8,823,649. That their CHI St. Luke's Memorial Specialty Hospital would contribute $609,126. Woodland Heights Medical Center would contribute $7,390,993. And Oceans Behavioral Hospital of Lufkin would contribute $328,355 for a total of $17,152,122. And when you look at the matching funds, these are tremendous amounts of dollars that are going to come back into this community for that health care and compensate these hospitals for the care they provide that people can't pay for their own, pay for their health care that they need. So this all falls under our indigent care affiliation agreement that we filed last year under this local participation provider fund. So, and I guess my recommendation is to set the rate this year at 6% at those values for those 4 medical centers here in Angelina County.
Has those 4 agreed to this already?
Yeah, they have no option. They either, like I said, they're either all in or none of them can participate. So in order for one hospital to be able to get these funds, all the other hospitals that are hospitals of record have to participate in this, and they have all agreed to participate in this program as they did last year.
But they'll get a lot better refund this year because of this.
Right, increased rate. There's, like I said, there's some increased dollars for the federal government.
Might as well go out there and get it then.
Right.
Make a motion to set the rate at 6%. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to set the rate for the local provider participation fund at 6% for the CHI St. Luke's Memorial, CHI St. Luke's Memorial Specialty Hospital, Woodland Heights Medical Center, and Oceans Behavioral Hospital. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen, for all y'all's hard work. Now, we move on to item number 7 is the appearance of Deborah Huffman, County Treasurer, to request approval of the contract for commercial bank, including the bank depository contract, the online business agreement, the ACH origination agreement and the ACH origination applications. It's a lot.
Lots,
Good morning,
lots.
Ms.
Good morning, good morning. Earlier this year, you remember we went out for bids for bank depository services for the coming 4-year period. And at that time, the court awarded that to Commercial Bank of Texas. And today, we're just completing that process by bringing contracts to you that cover these banking services over that 4-year period. County Attorney Carrie Kirby and I have both gone through these contracts in detail, and we've made a number of changes that we presented to Commercial Bank, and Commercial Bank has now accepted and executed the contracts. And so we're, and that included our requested changes. So now we're bringing them back to you for your consideration. And it does include the 4 documents that the judge mentioned.
Basically, our services are not changing.
Our services are not changing, no. We've been with them now for 8 years. And the services are the same, but this just lays out the rules, you might say, for those services.
And again, this is just in relationship to our renewal of our contract with Commercial Bank as our county depository.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And myself, Ms. Huffman, and the bank spent quite a bit of time going through these documents, and they've worked with us, the bank has, and made some revisions and changes, but I think everything's in order now, and it does provide for continued services with Commercial Bank for the next 4 years.
Judge, I'll make a motion to approve authorizing you to sign.
I second.
All right, we got a motion second to approve the contract with Commercial Bank, including the depository contract, business agreement, the ACH origination agreement, and the ACH origination application, authorizing me to sign these documents. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions, Ms. Huffman or Mr. Kirby while we're here? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries.
Thank
Get
you.
these signed.
And I have an original here for you,
Okay.
okay?
Get that signed after court if you will. Thank you, Ms. Huffman. All right, item number 8 is the appearance of Ricky Connor, Emergency Management Coordinator, to discuss and request the Commissioner Court to approve payment for the tetanus shots given on October 3rd by Dr. Kessler's office, amount of $5,300. Morning, Ricky.
Good morning.
Morning.
As y'all are aware of, in the past, we give county employees flu shots. This year, we had 166 people that took the flu shots, and as in the past, the county pays for the flu shots. They're not billed on our insurance. They pay for our flu shots. This year, when we changed companies, we went with the In-N-Out Clinic this year. The In-N-Out Clinic also offered the whooping cough and tetanus shot this year. It was told to most of the employees that I've talked to that this was an included expense. I also thought that. Me and Janice talked about this at length because we were going to pay for the flu shots, which was $4,700 or something, somewhere in that amount. So we get a bill from them for almost $10,000. So what they did was file these on our insurance instead of us paying for it. So we were done $5,300 for the tetanus shot. We had 106 people that actually took the tetanus shot and the whooping cough shot, which was one shot. I think it was a little oversight on both of our parts, my part and also their office, because I know that I explained to them that we only wanted the flu shot and we offered that shot. But their defense was that, well, we always offer that shot with it. Didn't say anything about the expense for that. So that's where we're at. And I'm requesting, we're requesting $5,300 to pay for those shots that, we were given to 106 of our employees. Now, I did learn never have had a contract in the past, but going forward, we will have a written contract for that.
But as my understanding, on the day of the shots, and I didn't get the flu shot here, I was out of town at that time, but it's my understanding in our initial conversation before you went back and talked to Kessler's office, that the morning they gave the flu shots and you showed up and they were giving the tetanus shot in conjunction with that, they told you that it was included.
Yes,
Is that right? So
told
you-
several employees it was included, and me thinking, well, it's included with the flu shot expense also.
Because
but
you were only giving
it
one
was-
price, and that was for the flu
Right.
shot and the discount.
Right, $25 a shot is what we've always paid to, we used Dr. Caskey's office for several years. I believe I set it up in '09, and they approached us this year, and we decided to give them a chance to change companies, and that's what happened.
We do have this money in the wellness program, so it's not like we've got to look for the money. We do have the additional money in the wellness program. It's just that we've never done this before, the tetanus shots.
I'll make a motion, pay the bills and
Second.
learn a lesson.
Okay.
I second.
Second, all right, we got a motion and a second. Pay the $5,300 for the tetanus shot, then we're gonna pay that out of the wellness program. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion
Thank you.
Next several items are just routine budget transfers, and this, of course, this is the time of year where we start seeing these transfers. Kind of clean up the budget for the end of the year. Item number 9 is discussion action on request for budget transfer from Court of Law number 2. Transferring $24 from supplies, office supplies, dues and publications, and printing of forms to training personnel.
Motion approved.
Second.
Now, we got a motion and a second to approve that budget transfer. Questions, discussions? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 10 is discussion action on the budget transfer request from the landfill. $40,000 from capital outlay to equipment repair.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve that budget transfer. Any questions or discussions on that? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 11, gentlemen, is a request from IT, Information Technology, transfer $6,331 from software maintenance to repair and maintenance.
Motion to
Repair and maintenance
approve.
network.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions? We got Gary Taylor, Gary Jordan here, I mean, if you need. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Number 12 is discussion action on a budget transfer for Road and Bridge Precinct Number 3, transferring $16,000 from gasoline and oil to telephone and equipment lease.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second approving that budget transfer. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Number 13 is a request from the district attorney for a budget transfer, transferring $2,500 from training and personnel to investigative expense and trial transcripts.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve that budget transfer request. Any discussions or questions on it? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item number 14 is discussion action on a request from the sheriff, the county jail for a budget transfer. We're to transfer $96,000. We're gonna transfer that, since they don't have that in their budget, out of contingency into inmate care.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Discussion, question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner?
I've done a little research on this. It seems that this is doubling almost every year. Are we in a long-term contract with these people? Whichever one of you can answer it.
What was it?
Yeah, this isn't necessarily just our contract with
No.
Southern Health Partners. This is
No, sir.
also for inmate care, that if inmates are in the hospital, have to maybe go, not in the jail, that have a emergency medical condition that can't be treated at the jail, that have to be transferred to a hospital for treatment. In addition to the.
Oh, it's not just the Southern.
No,
No, sir.
it's
No,
the
sir.
Southern plus
We've
inmates that have to be
we've
transferred
had
to
a
the
lot of
hospital.
medical issues going on with inmates that we've taken into our custody at the jail. Majority of them are pre-existing things that are going on with the inmates. Once they get in the jail, a lot of the inmates self-medicate when they're out on the street. So when they come in and they're not getting that medication or drugs that they're using to self-medicate with, then their issue becomes a major issue inside the jail, which means that we are responsible for that. I did a little breakdown yesterday, just some of the ones that we know of major issues that we had with different inmates. For orthopedic reconstructive surgery, we spent approximately $21,357,000. That was, knee replacement repair, fixing an ankle, broken leg, and and most of them were pre-existing. All of those.
Did that happen in the jail?
No, sir.
No.
We brought them in with a broken ankle,
Yes, sir.
and then we got to go in.
Yes, sir. Because of their charge, we're not able to release them. Their charge keeps them in that jail. Congestive heart failure, heart attack, $23,800. OBGYN, it says $1,400 right now, but we delivered a baby this year from a female that was in custody, so we haven't even got all of those bills yet for her. Luckily, the baby was fine. She was fine. There wasn't any complications, which would have bumped up the cost, but hernia repair and other surgeries similar to that, $15,400. We had one death in custody, estimated at $7,000. There may be additional costs with that. And other things, approximately $18,796. It rounds out from just the things that we know of that were major incidents. This is not all of the medical bills, but that's just the major ones, $87,909 just to treat inmates that had pre-existing.
Well, I just noticed it, I think about 13 or 14, we went from 100,000, and then next year we budgeted 390, I think
Yes.
it was. And
You
we're
know,
having to add to it every year, so it's
It's
almost
the-
like it's doubling every year.
It's
I think
the pre-existing injuries that they have when they come into the jail. When they get there, say they have issues with the hernia, it's pre-existing, they've had the hernia for years. Well, when they come into the jail, they might be playing basketball and something rip, and then we've got to go, and then they get in there. They had a blockage. We had one guy, he had a blockage, so we took him to the hospital, they admitted him. He also had a hernia. When they were doing that repair, during that surgery, they accidentally cut part of his small intestines, which means they had to repair that as well. So what went from a not major surgery ended up being a major surgery, which tripled our cost on that one particular inmate.
Well, one thing too on this is, that really is not on this list, is everything from meds to the dentist to eye doctors. And ever since the Sandra Bland Act was judged, that put much more burden on our jails. And so when you got people coming in with mental health issues that are already on medication, we had to provide that.
Yes.
So that is another major increase. And I will say this, I called around to 3 counties, the other sheriffs, just to see what and every one of them are in the same predicament. All in
Their medical budgets are
Yeah,
up too, just
there
because
is
of the
a
type of inmate that we're
And a
dealing
lot of
with.
us, since the Sandra Bland, Judge Day, is a lot of the jails are trying to be so careful with liability, which that's where, thank goodness, we have 16 hours a day of the nurses coming, or there at the jail, and so which helps us on those liability issues a lot. Now, the nurses, of course, they can only do so much. All this is surgery, so they, that's things they can't do. And so like the warden's saying, they come in there. Now, we did have one, and I will tell you this, I want y'all to know that we have the judges that work very well with us. If there's people that do come in with medical issues that we can release that are not a liability, we do that. Now, we had one the nurse went to the hospital that was shot here recently by one of the agencies that we went to the hospital. They were going to release that inmate to the jail, which we refused because there was a lot of issues there still medically, and they kept him about another week, which we don't have to pay that bill until that inmate comes in the jail, and then we take custody of that inmate, which that saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, they wanted to release that particular inmate to our custody within days of having surgery after being shot. We are not medically equipped to address things like that at the jail, so he and the nurse went there, and they spoke to the doctor and stuff and was like, look, we can't take care of this inmate at the jail at this point. So they kept him another week, but then he came to the jail, which means we had to do follow-up appointments and things like that, which is our cost, so.
Are we getting any help from the state?
As far as,
inmate medical
Yeah.
care.
They don't
No, sir.
refund inmate medical care.
Once we take over.
But now I will say this, with all this major increase on these surgeries and everything else, the price that we're paying is indigent care price. Thank goodness, because if we paid what it really costs, then it'd be really high.
Yeah, what everybody else would have to pay.
Yes.
Yeah.
we'd be having collection passing it around.
Yeah.
Like I said, you said it looks like it's doubled. We've been getting, we've had a run of bad luck with some inmates coming with some really bad medical conditions. And once they get in custody, it's our responsibility. Medical says they have to go in, be sent to a hospital, and it could be something for a high blood pressure, but sent to a hospital, get it under control, and it also comes back with a bad EKG. And now they're admitting them. Now we're going through PCU, ICU, the costs add up.
Well, and the hospitals also are taking care of, they're protecting themselves when they go to the hospital. They're not gonna just kick them back out of the jail if they see
Exactly.
something that's kind of questionable. They're gonna admit them for that testing and make sure before they release them that they're eligible for release.
And I will say this too, Judge, we did have a meeting with the Woodland Heights, and we normally have been going to CHI, which I'm not saying we're still not, but we are trying to look at both hospitals to see if we can save some money there too.
Good.
So
We need
since
to
they're
utilize
both,
both, yeah, if we
Yeah,
can.
just both of them.
Yeah, you bet. Good.
Is that under federal guideline, jail or state guideline that we have to do all
For
this?
medical, it's both. We follow both guidelines as far as medical treatment. Inmates have right to medical when they come into the jail. Even though it's pre-existing, once they come into that jail, they are our responsibility.
see, like, for example, if they come in with mental health issues, they're on the medicine, but once we take custody of them, then the state, the birth center stops, all that stops, then we have to pick up.
We pick up the cost of the
We pick up the
medications.
cost until they're released. Now, once they're released back out, then it goes back.
Well-
And that is something that we've talked to the judges about. They've looked at a grant to try to, I can't remember what it was called, but anyway, it was a grant to help the birth center where.
I know Judge Studer's been working on that for several years
Yes, you know
now.
what I'm talking about. So that would help pick that up, but we just haven't got there yet.
Yeah, where I was going with that is, the state brags about not raising taxes, but these local taxpayers have to pay for all these different things. And that's really why I asked about the statute. That's some of that unfunded mandate to me,
Yeah.
that you
Well,
have
in
to
our
do.
county jails are unfunded mandate. There's not
Yeah.
anybody in there on a
Right.
city charge or a county.
Yeah.
They're all in there on the state criminal
Yes.
charge. So, the
Pending
state's saying we
trial.
have to run a jail and we have to provide medical care, we're gonna do that.
And when you take somebody into custody, you're taking the right for them to take care of
And,
themselves.
and we
It's
closely
ultimately
monitor,
possible
we
us.
work very close with the head nurse of people that do have medical issues going on. She keeps us informed on everything of appointments and such, or things that might come later with that particular inmate. So we do take that into consideration. Like Sheriff said, we work very close with Judge White, Judge Zinsman, DA's office. We all work together to try to, get the ones out that we can, the ones that we can't.
Well,
Then we
I'm
just-
sure we're doing all we can.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we're doing all we can.
It's frustrating.
But,
'cause-
but our legislators, we just brag on them and brag on them, and then people don't see the little things like this is happening.
Right.
Yeah, I
What
know.
is this, $96,000?
Which is a big thing to us.
Yeah, see that?
Well, it's $4 million.
Right.
It's
Yes.
costing us $4 million to run a county jail.
Right.
And we're running it because the state says we have to.
That's right.
And we have to have a place to incarcerate people that violate the law. And so we have to take them into our custody, we have to provide care for them. Again, state mandate.
So when you're patting them on the back, remember that.
I appreciate y'all clearing that up. I was just looking at, I was looking at this trend.
Right.
Next year, we're gonna be at $500,000 on that.
And it could just like this.
If you go back and look, even back to 2010.
Yeah, when we're through, I'll show you.
It's fluctuated.
We got
The cost has fluctuated up and down on medical. It just depends on what's going on with situations out on the street and what type of inmates we're actually getting in.
Yeah, we're delivering babies in jail, that's
Yes,
not a good
sir.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Not a good
And you
thing.
can't release it.
Anybody know how a baby just come to the jail? You experienced in it.
And we do actually have inmates that have the mentality of, I'm in county jail, you're gonna fix me.
While I'm here.
While I'm here, I need you to fix everything, so when I get out, I can continue living the life that I wanted to live. You know,
In fact,
so-
one of them that we spent over $11,000, we
Well over
found a
that.
drawing in his cell where he drew this cartoon drawing, which was well done, and it was talking about him getting free medical,
Yes.
coming to the jail.
I didn't do it, but give me my medication.
So we do have free medical.
Well, then,
So it's,
Some.
you know,
We've been
So when you
fighting
get,
that, but
when
we
you
do
need
have
your
free
teeth worked on, you can jaywalk and go
I
to
mean,
jail, we'll fix your
we
teeth.
try to adjust it as much as we can, because we do charge the inmates, set amounts for different things. You know, to see the nurse, it's $5. To see the PA, it's $10. It's $15 for any prescription medication that they're given, and $30 to have a tooth extraction. So, I mean, we do try to get as much of that back as we can, but some inmates are indigent, and they're just steadily racking up a cost that, you know, we can't deny them medical.
No. Good, thank y'all.
all right.
Thank you very much. All right, any other questions, discussion?
Where we gonna get the money?
Coming out contingency.
Okay. All right.
All right, hearing no further questions, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank y'all again for y'all's explanation. Item number 15 is consider miscellaneous routine items. We have a report here from our Angelina County Tax Assessor for the month of October. Have a report from our county extension agents, Joe Reedus, Mr. Kerry Sims. Mr. Merrill did some following this report. And then we have a report from our collections department. And that concludes our miscellaneous report for this quarter.
Motion approved.
Second.
Second.
I've got a motion second to approve these miscellaneous reports. Any other questions, comments on any of those reports, gentlemen? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Item number 16 is consider approving the bills submitted by the county auditor. You have a copy of those bills in your packet.
Motion to pay the bill.
Second.
I've got a motion second to authorize the auditor to pay the bills for this court session. Any comments, questions, corrections, any changes need to be made?
Nothing from me.
All right, hearing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before we leave for recess, I'd just like to recognize members of the Angelina County Leadership Lufkin Group here today. If y'all kind of stand and then just introduce yourself and tell us what group you represent on the Leadership Lufkin team.
I'm Donnie Webb, Superintendent with Hudson ISD.
Jeff Walker, Director of Stubblefield Learning Center.
Chris Sullivan, CFO and in-house counsel, Angelina College. Tom Porter, Lamar County.
Stacy Hodges with the Lufkin Angelina County Chamber. Courtney Kelly, architect for the Master Strong.
Good. Good to have y'all. I'm glad y'all are members of the Leadership Lufkin program. It's a great program. Look forward to great things y'all do this session. So welcome. Thank y'all for coming today. All right. Then there being no further business before this court, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank y'all again for coming today.
Hey, Greg.
I get that in my head. So, I get to say aye.
You got a second?